Did you know that Chinese President Xi Jinping has a net worth exceeding $1 billion US, yet he chooses to live a modest life? Surprisingly, his simple lifestyle contrasts sharply with the extravagant spending of his predecessor. What motivates the most powerful man in China to live as if he were poor? The Chinese people watch their leader's every move and listen closely to his pronouncements, from humble beginnings to anti-corruption campaigns. We will uncover the secrets of his humble approach to power. Xi Jinping's humble beginnings before becoming one of the world's most powerful figures. Xi Jinping grew up in a modest, low-income Chinese family and even lived in a cave before reaching adulthood. These experiences profoundly shaped his character. It's no wonder he is so beloved by the Chinese people. Let's take a look at Xi Jinping's childhood. Imagine growing up in the heart of Beijing as the son of a powerful revolutionary leader, only to see your world turned upside down at the age of 10. This happened to Xi Jinping. The Chinese leader was born on June 15, 1953, to Shi Zhongsun. He is a highly influential man who rose through the ranks to become vice premier and a key figure in the Chinese Communist Party. But then the political winds shifted, and Xi Jinping's family faced difficult times. In 1963, when Xi was just 10 years old, things began to unravel. His father, a prominent political leader, was suddenly purged from the Chinese Communist Party and sent to work in a factory. The Chinese Cultural Revolution swept across the country, sweeping away intellectuals, high-ranking officials, and anyone who didn't conform to the rigid ideologies of the Communist Party. For Xi, the revolution disrupted his education, as students were encouraged to rebel rather than learn. Xi's family home was looted, and his sister, Xi Heying, was killed. But this was just the beginning. At the age of 15, Xi had to make a life-altering decision. Would he stay in Beijing, or follow the party's call to go to the countryside? On a cold January day in 1969, he embarked on a journey that would be crucial in preserving his humility and simplicity, even after becoming a wealthy and powerful politician. That year, he left behind the bright lights of Beijing and found himself in the harsh village of Yangjia in Shanxi province. Life there was harsh. The village was backward, impoverished, and a far cry from the life he had known. He was just a teenager, but he had to face the challenges of rural life, from fighting fleas to enduring hard labor and surviving on meager rations. His teenage years and political awakening. It's hard to believe that the leader of China spent his teenage years living in a cave in a remote village. Now, this place is being transformed into a theme park-style tourist destination, using the Chinese leader's past to legitimize the rule of the Communist Party. Xi Jinping spent a significant portion of his teenage years and early 20s in this place, which shaped him as a leader and fueled his fight against poverty in China. It also gave him a profound sense of humanity. Villagers often find themselves telling visitors and tourists stories about the time when a tall, pale-skinned teenager worked alongside them in the fields and slept on a straw mat in a flea-infested cave in their village. Xi Jinping has shared that his political consciousness began to take shape during his time in this remote village, where he was sent as part of the Mao Zedong initiative, which aimed to immerse educated young people from the cities in the lives of peasants. In a 2004 television interview, he spoke about how many of his ideas and characteristics were shaped during those crucial years in Yangjia. But for a teenager, it wasn't always easy. Adjusting was anything but simple. After just a few months, the hardships of life in the impoverished village of a dozen or so houses were more than 15-year-old Xi could bear. He longed for the comfort of home. So he ran away. Upon returning to Beijing, his mother reported him to the authorities, and he was arrested during a crackdown. He was sent to dig trenches in a labor camp as part of a 6-month re-education program. Eventually, he returned to Yangjia, but only after his relatives persuaded him. Despite the difficulties, this experience in the countryside became a defining chapter in Xi's life. Today, the people of Yangjia remember the young Xi Jinping who worked alongside them during his formative years. They remember him pushing sand carts. He tends to the crops and helps build a dam while facing the hardships of rural life. Shiryukin, a villager who joined the Communist Party in 1974, recalls, "At that time, life there was very difficult. No one had enough food and suffered a lot. Everything was in our favor. Everything he did was for us, the villagers. He recalls the emotional moment when Xi left, describing how the young leader wept as he departed. Xi reflects on that fateful day in 1975, noting that he awoke to find villagers waiting outside his cave, unwilling to disturb him. He remembers his deep sadness, admitting, "I cried then. It was the second time I had cried in 7 years." In recent years, Xi Jinping's relationship with Liangjia has sparked a small economic boom in the area. Villagers now offer tour vehicles, sell Xi-themed souvenirs, and provide the president's meal for the thousands of tourists who flock to the village daily. Additionally, a 45-episode drama based on the region is in production, although it's uncertain whether it will specifically depict Xi's life. During a recent holiday, Liangjia attracted over 30,000 visitors, each paying a small fee to see the caves where Xi once lived. Over time, Xi Jinping has earned the trust of the Liangjia people. While serving his community, Kim continued to live in a cave dwelling like many in the region for 7 years. He immersed himself in rural life, learning about the land and connecting with the rural poor in a way few leaders before him had. This period was crucial in shaping his leadership skills. By 1973, his dedication had not gone unnoticed. He was tasked with leading social education initiatives in neighboring villages. His applications to join the Communist Party of China were rejected about 10 times before he was finally accepted in 1974. Reflecting his secrets, once he joined the party, he introduced biogas technology to address the local fuel shortage, drilled wells, and established cooperatives to boost the local economy. Villagers who initially saw him as an outsider began to recognize him as one of their own. However, this was just the beginning of his journey. In 1975, Xi received a significant opportunity when he was nominated to attend Tsinghua University, one of China's most prestigious educational institutions. There, he combined academic learning with the practical lessons he had absorbed from his rural experiences. As preparation for leading a rapidly modernizing China, Xi Jinping's early years laid the foundation for his leadership style and political philosophy, which emphasizes connecting with the people and addressing their needs. A new memorial hall was erected in Xi Jinping's family home, dedicated to his father, Xi Zhongshan, a prominent figure in the Communist Party. This initiative is part of a broader effort by the ruling Communist Party to portray Xi as an ordinary person, particularly in a climate where many citizens are frustrated with the privileges enjoyed by their leaders. Xi Jinping, the son of a revolutionary hero, is often viewed as a prince, a term used to describe the sons of high-ranking Communist Party officials. Despite this background, his early life in Liangjia, a place fraught with hardship, formed the basis of his image as someone who understands the struggles of ordinary people. This chapter of Xi's life was significant, providing him with valuable lessons in hardship and resilience that would later influence his political ideology. His experiences there are often cited as the foundation of his leadership style and his vision for China. Early in his political career, in September 1988, Xi Jinping was appointed Secretary of Ningdi, a remote and underdeveloped region at the time. Ningdi's economy was in dire straits, far worse than more prosperous cities like Fuzhou and Xi'an. The task before him seemed daunting. Instead of becoming discouraged, Xi began to carefully organize his thoughts and life experiences, eventually compiling them into a book titled Out of Poverty. This book was not merely theoretical. It was the product of Xi's practical work in poverty alleviation and strengthening the local Communist Party in Ningdi. But this was just the beginning. In May 1988, in 1990, the Fujian Provincial Committee of the Communist Party of China had even bigger plans for him. He was reassigned to Fuzhou, a major city, and his career began to gain momentum. By 1997, he had been appointed an alternate member of the 15th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. But then came an even bigger opportunity. In 1999, he was promoted to vice governor of Fujian, and just a year later, he assumed the top post as governor. During his time in Fujian, his approach was strategic. He reached out to Taiwan, hoping to attract investment and boost the private sector. His vision for economic growth was bold, but how far could it take him? The answer came in 2002. When he left Fujian for the neighboring province of Zhejiang, it was a significant step forward. He was quickly appointed to key political positions and eventually rose to the top post of Secretary of the Zhejiang Provincial Committee, marking his first time holding such a powerful provincial-level position. Under his leadership, Zhejiang's economy boomed, registering 14% annual growth. But his focus wasn't solely on economic success. He was also gaining a reputation as a staunch anti-corruption fighter. His tough stance against corrupt officials sent shockwaves across China, attracting the attention of the country's top leadership. From 2004 to 2007, Xi's closest advisor during this period was Li Chang, who served as his chief of staff, forging a strong political bond between the two. But his story didn't end there. In September 2006, the political landscape shifted once again. Shanghai's party secretary, Chen Liangyu, was removed from his post following a massive corruption scandal involving the Social Security Fund. The scandal shook the nation, and someone was needed to step in and restore order. Xi Jinping entered the scene by March 2007. He was transferred to Shanghai and became the new party secretary. His tenure in Shanghai was short, lasting only 7 months, but it was a very crucial 7 months. Xi's strategy in Shanghai was simple: keep a low profile, stay out of controversy, and maintain strict party discipline. He even refused a special train that his Shanghai superior had arranged to transport him between Shanghai and Hangzhou. Reminding everyone that such privileges were reserved only for national leaders, his dedication to upholding the rules earned him respect. His approach to party unity was clear. There would be no purges under his leadership, despite the scandal that had ousted his predecessor. He knew exactly how to adhere to the party line while maintaining his vision of the bigger picture. So what does all this mean for Xi Jinping's future? It became increasingly clear that his image as a disciplined, pragmatic, and anti-corruption leader was shaping the future. What comes next for the man who climbed the ladder of politics quietly but steadily? The anti-corruption campaign launched by Xi Jinping shortly after assuming the position of General Secretary of the Communist Party of China in 2012 had a profound impact on Chinese politics. Xi Jinping secured a historic third term as General Secretary. The campaign targeted lower-ranking officials, dubbed flies, and the higher-ranking elite, known as tigers. Xi Jinping vigorously launched the anti-corruption campaign, vowing to pursue what he called the tigers and flies. This represents a major shift towards strengthening party discipline and accountability, enabling Xi Jinping to consolidate his power and reshape China's political landscape. One of the most prominent aspects of the campaign was its crackdown on extravagance and lavish spending among officials. Xi implemented strict rules to curb ostentatious spending and displays of wealth, reinforcing a message of humility and simplicity within the party. The 8-point regulations of 2012 provided a clear framework that prohibited luxury travel, reduced red carpet ceremonies, and curtailed lavish celebrations. The campaign led to the investigation and punishment of tens of thousands of officials, from local bureaucrats to high-ranking leaders like Zhou Yongkeng, a former member of the Politburo Standing Committee. Zhou Yongkeng is suspected of serious violations of discipline and is the highest-ranking official to be investigated. Several high-profile cases resulted in prison sentences. The former security chief, Zhou Yongkeng, was sentenced to life imprisonment in a secret trial. Some officials even faced the death penalty for serious corruption offenses. This approach not only instilled fear among potential offenders, but it also allowed Xi Jinping to exert tighter control over the Chinese Communist Party, reducing the influence of rival factions. Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign has dramatically altered the political landscape in China. The pervasive fear of investigations fostered a culture of caution among officials, leading to the purging or marginalization of many political elites. While the campaign was praised for restoring public trust in the government and reducing unnecessary spending, critics argue that it served as a tool for Xi to eliminate political rivals, consolidate his power, and enforce loyalty within the Communist Party. This consolidation of power became particularly evident when presidential term limits were removed in 2018, allowing Xi to extend his leadership indefinitely. Thus, the anti-corruption campaign had a dual effect, addressing genuine corruption issues while simultaneously strengthening Xi's grip on the party and his economic vision for China. Xi Jinping's economic vision for China focuses on sustainable, high-quality growth, rather than unchecked expansion and the misuse of state resources by those in power. His administration prioritizes the transition from a low-cost, export-driven economy to one that prioritizes domestic consumption, technological innovation, and environmental sustainability. China's national plan states that boosting domestic consumption will take on a more prominent role. Key initiatives such as the Belt and Road Initiative are frequently highlighted by state media, which emphasize his simple lifestyle and aversion to extravagance. This portrays him as a leader dedicated to China's future rather than personal gain. His commitment to the principles of the anti-corruption campaign, including curbing lavish behavior, reflects his expectation that party members will adhere to the same principles. He leads by example. Xi Jinping is often described as a humble leader in both his public persona and work ethic. Those who have interacted with him note his modesty and down-to-earth nature. For example, his wife, Peng Liyuan, stated that at home, he doesn't present himself as a leader, but as an ordinary husband, highlighting his humility. This humility extends to his professional life, as evidenced by his refusal to accept certain privileges. However, Xi Jinping's humble public image stands in stark contrast to his political stature as China's leader. He has consolidated enormous power, abolished presidential term limits in 2018, and strengthened control over all aspects of governance. This reflects a more authoritarian side. His strict enforcement of party discipline, his sweeping anti-corruption campaigns, and his emphasis on national pride reveal a leader who expects loyalty and commands respect. Thus, while Xi may personally embody humility, his political leadership is characterized by a strong, centralized style that wields immense influence. Modesty and simplicity characterize the official residence. Xi Jinping's preference for simplicity is evident in his official residence as President of China, located in Zhongnanhai, adjacent to the Forbidden City in Beijing. This complex serves as the political nerve center for the highest levels of the Chinese leadership, including Xi Jinping. While its design may not be ostentatious by modern standards, it holds immense historical and political significance. Originally built during the Ming Dynasty, it was transformed into its current role as the headquarters of the Chinese Communist Party in the 20th century. The complex reflects traditional Chinese architecture with its gardens, courtyards, and historical buildings. Zhongnanhai's importance lies not in its extravagance, but in its strategic significance. It has served as the residence and workplace for generations of Chinese leaders. The complex is not open to the public, further enhancing its exclusivity and prestige. Zhongnanhai represents the continuity of centralized power in Chinese history, particularly under communist rule. Despite its lack of modern opulence, the political and symbolic weight associated with the location stems from the rejection of modern luxury in favor of tradition and respect for Chinese culture and history. Humility is deeply ingrained in Chinese culture. Xi Jinping's humility reflects at its core the enduring culture of China, interwoven into the fabric of their society and religious practices such as Confucianism and Taoism. The three treasures, or three jewels of Taoism, are central virtues found in the Tao Te Ching, one of the foundational texts of Taoist philosophy. These virtues, which focus on compassion, simplicity, and humility, reflect the fundamental principles of living in harmony with the Tao, or the Way, the guiding force in Taoism. Although the term three treasures has been used in other contexts, such as Chinese Buddhism and traditional Chinese medicine, in Taoist tradition it represents a fundamental approach to life, compassion as the first treasure. Compassion is the first virtue in Taoism because it is considered the source of true courage. In chapter 67 of the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu states that compassion is the foundation of courage, suggesting that those who demonstrate compassion possess the inner strength to face the world with gentleness and empathy. This concept parallels ideas in other Chinese philosophies, such as Confucianism, where humanity emerges as a central moral principle. Compassion in this Taoist context is not only a personal virtue, but also a means of interacting with others in a way that fosters mutual understanding and peace. Simplicity as the second treasure. Simplicity refers to moderation and the rejection of excess. Humility as the third treasure. Humility is expressed as not being presumptuous. The idea of being the world's number one reflects the Taoist principle of avoiding the limelight and resisting the urge to dominate others. Lao Tzu warns against the dangers of pride and arrogance, emphasizing that leaders who lead by example do so not by placing themselves above others, but by stepping back and allowing others to flourish. In this way, humility is seen as a protective force that shields the individual from unnecessary conflicts and enables them to live according to the Tao. Compassion fosters connection and kindness. Simplicity ensures sustainability, and humility allows a person to live without selfishness or a desire for power. Thus, the three treasures offer a roadmap for individuals seeking to live without selfishness or a desire for power. They offer a roadmap for individuals striving to live a balanced, wise, and harmonious life in the natural world, despite having much wealth and power at their disposal. Do you think Xi Jinping's simplicity is truly a personal choice or part of a broader political strategy? How does this approach affect its public image and the future direction of China? If you enjoyed this text, share your thoughts in the comments section. If you like the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channels. Also, click on the following video displayed on your screen. You'll enjoy it.